I never thought my name could be stolen. Not my money, not my house, not even my face. My name. And the worst part? I found out on my phone at 2:17 a.m. My name is Rihanna, and what I'm about to tell you still doesn't feel real, even now. Before you judge anyone in this story, listen carefully, because what looks like jealousy at first slowly turns into something much darker. It started with a notification, a random message request from someone I didn't know. Congrats on the wedding, you married rich. I almost ignored it, but curiosity made me open it. Attached was a screenshot, a wedding announcement, luxury venue, gold lettering, designer flowers, and right there in bold letters was my full legal name. Not similar, not close, exactly my name. I felt my chest tighten. The groom's name didn't register at first, but the bride's face did. It was my sister, smiling, wearing diamonds, holding the hand of a man I had never seen before. And under the photo, it said, "Congratulations to Rihanna, wife of billionaire investor Adrian Wolf." My hands started shaking because I wasn't married. I had never met this man, and I definitely wasn't a billionaire's wife. I refreshed the page. Same post, thousands of likes, comments flooding in. Lucky girl, dream life, married into money, she deserves it. I couldn't breathe. I zoomed in on the legal line under the announcement. Marriage registered under the name Rihanna Patel. My name. My full legal name. My stomach dropped. At first, I thought it was a prank, a sick joke. But then I saw something that made my blood turn cold. The ID number. It wasn't random. It was mine. My sister had used my identity. I sat on my bed, staring at the screen, replaying memories I had ignored for years. How she always borrowed my documents, just in case. How she asked for copies of my ID. How she insisted I help her out when she was dating rich men. How she once joked, "You don't even use your name properly anyway." I laughed back then. I wasn't laughing now. I called her. No answer. I texted her. Nothing. Then I called my mother. She picked up on the second ring. I asked calmly, "Mom, did you know she used my name to get married?" Silence. Long, heavy, guilty silence. Then she said something that made my heart sink. "Please don't make this difficult." That sentence. That exact sentence. It felt like a betrayal wrapped in softness. I asked her what she meant. She sighed and said, "It was easier this way. He wanted someone clean, no history, no complications." I felt sick. "So you gave him me?" I whispered. She replied quietly, "You weren't using your identity anyway. You're not married, you have no assets. What's the harm?" That's when I realized something terrifying. They didn't think of me as a person. They thought of me as a resource, a tool, a name they could borrow. I hung up. My phone buzzed again. This time, a message from an unknown number. "Hi, Rihanna. This is Adrian, your husband." I stared at the screen. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. Before I could reply, another message came in. "We need to talk. Something doesn't add up." That was the moment I understood two things at once. One, my sister had lied to a powerful man, and two, now that lie had started to crack. I didn't sleep that night. I opened every old email, every scanned document, every ID copy I had ever shared. And what I found made my hands go cold. Bank records, signed forms, digital signatures. My identity wasn't just used for marriage. It was used for something much bigger. something involving money, a lot of money, and contracts I had never seen before. By sunrise, I realized something terrifying. If this exploded, I wouldn't just lose my name, I could lose my freedom. And the worst part? My sister wasn't scared. She was confident, because she believed I would never fight back. But she was wrong. Very, very wrong. Because what she didn't know yet was that the same system she used to steal my identity had just given me access to everything. And in part 2, I'm going to tell you what I discovered inside those files, the one detail that made even her billionaire husband panic, and the message he sent me next changed everything. By the time the court date was set, my entire life felt like it was balancing on a knife's edge. I hadn't slept properly in weeks. Every night I replayed the same question in my head. How could my own sister steal my identity and live inside it like it belonged to her? My name is Serena Vale, and by the time part 3 begins, the truth was already cracking open, slowly, painfully, but loudly enough that it could no longer be ignored. The lawyer I hired didn't look shocked when I showed him the documents. He looked careful, very careful. He flipped through the papers one by one. The forged ID, the fake signature, the marriage license, the bank transfers, the altered birth certificate, the overseas account opened in my name. Then he leaned back and said something that made my stomach drop. "Your sister didn't just steal your identity," he said quietly. "She rebuilt it." I asked what he meant. He explained that she hadn't done this suddenly. She had been preparing for years. Small things at first. A signature copied, a document borrowed, a fake address, a changed phone number. Tiny changes that looked harmless on their own. But together, they formed a second version of me. A version that existed on paper. A version that had money. A version that married a millionaire. And the scariest part? Legally, that version looked more real than I did. That's when the panic finally hit. Because if the court believed her identity instead of mine, I wouldn't just lose the case. I could lose my name, my history, my life. I asked my lawyer, "How is this even possible?" He said something that still echoes in my head. When family helps commit identity fraud, it becomes almost invisible. That's when I understood something darker. This wasn't just my sister. This was planned, with help from inside my own family. I went home that night shaking. I opened old boxes, school files, photos, letters, anything with dates. And that's when I found it, a folder I'd never opened before. Inside were photocopies of my childhood documents, but altered. My name slightly misspelled, my birth date shifted by one digit, my signature traced. And at the bottom of the folder, a handwritten note. It said, "Keep these safe. One day they'll be useful." The handwriting was familiar. Too familiar. It was my mother's. My chest tightened, because suddenly things from my past started making sense. Why my mail always went missing. Why official letters never reached me. Why my ID renewal was always delayed. Why my bank once froze my account by mistake. Why my sister always knew things about me before I did. This wasn't betrayal. It was coordination. I confronted my mother the next morning. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just placed the folder on the table. Her face went pale. She didn't deny it. She didn't even ask how I found it. She whispered, "You weren't supposed to see that." That sentence changed everything. I asked her why. Why help my sister steal my identity? Why help her marry using my name? Why let her take my life? She said something that still hurts to repeat. "You were always strong. You didn't need much. She needed everything." I felt something break inside me. Not anger, not sadness, detachment, like a string finally snapping. She tried to justify it, said it was temporary, said it was meant to help, said it went too far. But then she said the line that made me stand up and walk away. "You should be proud. Your name opened doors for her." That was the moment I decided I wasn't going to beg anymore. I wasn't going to explain. I wasn't going to forgive. I wasn't going to protect anyone. I was going to expose everything. Because my sister didn't just marry a millionaire. She married him using a lie. And the truth? The truth had paperwork. Over the next week, my lawyer uncovered something even bigger. The man she married had no idea. He believed she was me. Not just legally, emotionally. He had fallen in love with the identity I built. My education, my credit, my records, my history. And the moment he learned the truth, everything began to unravel. But that moment hasn't happened yet. Because before the court hearing, before the confrontation, before the fallout, my sister made one final move. A move so desperate, so reckless, that it turned this case from identity theft into a full criminal investigation. And when I tell you what she did next, you'll understand why the judge went silent, why the courtroom froze, and why the word family was never spoken again. That moment is where part 4 begins. By the time the court date arrived, the story had already started leaking. Not because I spoke, not because I wanted revenge, but because lies collapse when they get too heavy. My sister walked into the courtroom confident. Perfect hair, designer dress, her husband beside her. The same man who once believed she was someone else. Someone who was actually me. She still thought this was just a misunderstanding, that I'd stay quiet, that I'd back down like I always did. She was wrong. When the judge asked for identity verification, my lawyer stood up and said something that froze the room. "We would like to submit original documents proving the identity used in this marriage does not belong to the defendant's wife." Her face turned slowly. Her smile cracked. The screen lit up. My birth certificate, my government ID, my signatures, my childhood records, all linked to the name she had been using for years. The judge looked confused, then serious. Her husband whispered, "What does this mean?" She didn't answer, because she couldn't. The next document hit harder. A timeline showing when she started using my identity, when she changed her name records, when she quietly replaced my details with hers, and then the message that changed everything. A private email she had sent years ago, thinking no one would ever see it. She doesn't need this life. I do. She won't fight back. The courtroom went silent. Her husband stood up slowly, his face pale, his voice shaking. "You told me your family was lying about you. You told me you were the victim." She tried to speak. Her voice broke. "I did it for us." That's when he said the words that ended everything. "You built our marriage on someone else's life." The judge ordered an immediate investigation. Her legal name was suspended, accounts frozen, assets flagged. The marriage? Put on hold pending fraud review. My sister collapsed into tears, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilt. I felt relief. Outside the courtroom, reporters asked me if I felt satisfied. I said one sentence. I didn't take revenge, I took my name back. Weeks later, the truth spread quietly. Friends distanced themselves from her, business partners vanished, her husband filed for annulment, and the family that once told me to stay quiet, they stopped calling. Because silence was never my weakness, it was my patience. And when it finally ran out, the truth spoke louder than I ever could. If you're watching this and you've ever been erased, used, or replaced, remember this. You don't need to scream to be heard. You just need the truth on your side. And when it comes out, it changes everything.